Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3. Now, before we dive into this, a lot of the Walking Dead fans on this channel are waiting for those death prediction videos. I kept holding out for them to release the character promo shots, and they're not gonna. I know, I said this before, but finally I'm just gonna start editing it and get it all put together, and then start uploading them. They will hit probably really late tonight. First one at the latest, so just give me some time. I was finalizing the samples for my comic book for the physical release, and that actually delayed things an extra day or two, but that's all done with. That stage is over. We're moving on to the death prediction videos for The Walking Dead coming next, and then The Last of Us gameplay and a massive, insanely cool review for a Last of Us collectible. I just received it today. It is insane, but I will shut up and dive right into Game of Thrones. This episode was just, speaking of which, we're like halfway done with this season. That is just depressing. Well, technically not really. I mean, halfway through the next episode is technically halfway through this season because there's only 7 episodes, and that's just depressing as hell because this season is on fire. This episode, right, the first, 40-some minutes, let me look at my notes here. I wrote the last 16 minutes were killer. Before that, the first 44 minutes, did I do my math wrong on that? The first 44 minutes, I'm like, I like it, but it's a slow episode. You know what I mean? It's one of those slow burns, but that is fine for me. I'm still loving the stuff that they got with Jon Snow and Tyrion. I love that reunion again. I love Davos. Davos is just the man. He's just kick-ass. And then Khaleesi. Now, here's the thing. I like the introduction and the charisma a lot between Jon Snow and Khaleesi. I love how they did the long name shit with the Mother of Dragons, all these other names. Half of her shit I can't even pronounce. I'm probably not even saying Khaleesi right. And then you just get to Jon Snow, and it's like, yeah, he's, the King of the North. Obviously, a big moment where a lot of fans are going to laugh at that. There was one moment, my friend keeps telling me, I don't look into theories from the book, but my friend keeps trying to tell me that Jon Snow is a damn Targaryen. Is that how you pronounce it? A Targaryen, which is what the Mother of Dragons is. Khaleesi, she's a Targaryen. So she said she's the last surviving Targaryen, but in this episode, they had, and this is the only reason I'm thinking about it, they had, because my friend keeps saying, Jon Snow's a Targaryen, you watch. And then when he says, I'm not a Stark, the dragon roars overhead. So I'm thinking, is that throwing it in there like, no shit, this is set up or whatever for that? But then I'm thinking, wait a minute, all these Game of Thrones fans, they know way more than I do, and they're all trying to ship the Mother of Dragons and Jon Snow. Like, they want that to be the power couple from what I see online. But if they're both Targaryens, I was assuming when my friend said it that they're brother and sister, or maybe half brother and sister. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're Targaryens, but they're not related in that way. You know what I mean? But anyway, we don't need any more Cersei and Jaime Lannister shit going on. But let's dive right into the chemistry. There's a lot from that scene that I would love to revisit again. I have a feeling they're going to start believing Jon Snow a lot more before they even see the Army of the Dead. All it's going to take is seeing the scar on his heart, because they brought him back, but he still has that wound there, doesn't he? And you have this girl who has 3 full-grown dragons, but she doesn't believe in something like the Army of the Dead. They have magic in this area. They have all this other crazy shit going on, and she was kind of skeptical about it. Now, okay, maybe, because that is a fantastical thought to even think that people are coming back and there's a whole freaking army and they're being led. I mean, there's the Night King and all this shit. Sure, okay, I buy that, but I love how Tyrion talks to her later, and she ends up telling him, you know what, the dragons were, I believe she said it was the dragons were something that no one's ever seen for thousands of years or 1,000 years, and now look at, here's 3 full-grown dragons, so maybe we need to expand on what we thought we believed, so I did like that little moment. But they got some great chemistry. I mean, really fantastic chemistry. I'm actually really excited to see the Maud, I call her Maud, the Mother of Dragons. I'm really excited to see her riding the dragon and burning the hell out of some fleet. I don't think it would be Euron's fleet, because they, especially the one with the big sails, I mean the main motherfucker, because look, you keep highlighting and promoting him as being this badass. You're not going to have her come and burn down his entire fleet in one episode. I think that would be like really underwhelming. So there's got to be something like they take that gun and that gun ends up, you know, the big bow and arrow one. Maybe they build 2 or 3 on each boat. Then it's like, oh, bitch, don't even get on that dragon. Stay home. Don't do it. But anyway, moving on. We got Melisandre and Varys. They bring up this thing I really like where she says, at first I thought he was threatening her. I don't think I understood that scene good enough. But then she says with a smile, she's like, listen, I got to return one last time. I'm going to die in a strange land, just like you. And I was like, oh, chills, mic drop. If I was in his shoes, you should have saw a look on his face. Well, then again, you did watch it. You saw the look on his face. He turned white as a ghost. He was like, oh, bitch, what? Oh, fuck. He was scared. I'd be scared for him. We have Cersei with the poison kiss. That was epic. That was some epic revenge. And not only that, the mom has to sit there chained to a wall. She can't even hold her dying daughter. And she has to just watch everything as it plays out. That is brutal. I thought she was going to have the mountain just rip her limb from limb or something, or maybe do the same thing he did with, what's his name, the Viper. I don't know. I thought it was going to be brutal and bloody, but the way she did it, oh, that's a crushing blow. Next up, we got Sansa and her leadership. I love this. I think the actress really owned the shit out of this scene. And Littlefinger, too. Littlefinger's a character I just cannot stand, but his advice was off the hook. His advice was perfect, that you constantly contemplate all different possible outcomes, and that way you're never surprised. Like, instead of thinking, oh, you know what, my brother Jon Snow would never betray me, whoop-de-whoop. You know, his idea is you sit there and go, okay, you're my friend. What would happen if you're my friend? What would happen if you're loyal to me? Okay, now let me contemplate what would happen if you're my enemy. What could you do? What kind of power do you have? And yada, yada, yada. I think that is a fantastic way to think. However, if put in the wrong mind, you could eventually start, I don't know, not trusting real friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can picture Littlefinger got to that point where that's why he's just a slippery snake. You can't trust him around anybody because he's, I don't know, so sucked in and warped by this train of thought. But if Sansa can use that and, you know, take what she needs and discard the rest and stay loyal to her friends, I think that could be a powerful tool for her in the future. Moving on to Tora Mormont, I love this shit. I love that Sam was able to heal him, and in the way they did it. I never thought their two stories were going to cross paths, at least not in the way they did. When we were watching Sam back at the Night's Watch and all that, never in a million years did I think they were going to cross in that way. Again, I'm not a book reader, just a show reader, but I love how they did it because Sam had the connection to his father, right? Mormont's father, the guy with the grayscales. For those who don't know the names, I barely know half the names, but well, I know them. I second guess myself when I go to say the names. But anyway, he knew Jorah Mormont's father, and his father even saved, you know, Sam's life. So there was this, I don't know, this connection there that I thought was really awesome and sweet. Now we get to the last 16 minutes. Now keep in mind, at this point in time, I'm thinking, okay, this is a setup for the next episode. It's good. We got a lot of good charisma in this episode, but this is a setup episode. And then we get Tyrion explaining what's going to go on at Casterly Rock, and he's explaining how they're going to fail. And then they get the real attacks reveal. So he was just showing how they normally would have attacked and how they normally would have repelled the attack, the Lannister army. But then he shows the real attack where they come from beneath the guard tower, and that's in the sewer that he built, you know, way long ago. And then you even get the defeat of the Lannisters at Casterly Rock, and then Grey Worm's like, oh man, there's supposed to be a lot more than this. What's going on? And he looks over. All these reveals were just perfection, and he sees Euron's ship just destroying the fleet that they have, which I believe is essentially going to trap them there. So they either got to go and walk or stay there, which if they stay there, they're going to run out of food and supplies, and then if they walk, it's just going to be a disaster, you know? But it gets even better. So then he's like, where are the rest of the Lannisters? And then they give the reveal of them marching on Highgarden. They're marching up to House Tyrell, and I'm like, oh, this crazy old bat is not prepared for it. But she owned the death scene when Jaime Lannister gives her the poison. You know, she has this moment. She wants to tell Cersei, but she's kind of gauging, you know, am I going to be taken away from here? Am I going to be killed here? You know, how's this going to go down? And at first I'm thinking, oh man, she wants to try to bargain for her life. But then by the end of it, I got this feeling that all she was worried and concerned about was, will I stay alive long enough to get this message to Cersei, and I love that. If you go back and rewatch that scene, how she keeps asking how's she gonna die, or when, or where, you know what I mean? It seems like she's poking at something, but when you get to the end of it, it's revealed she just wants to punch Cersei in the gut from beyond the grave. And even Jaime's face when she says it, she's like, I never saw the poison work. I didn't know it would go down like that. You go tell Cersei, you punk bitch motherfucker. She mic drops the shit out of that motherfucker right before she dies. She's like, yeah, I killed Joffrey, and what? Go tell Cersei. That shit was beast. So yeah, I'm loving season 7 of Game of Thrones. I think this shit is off the hook. And I've talked about this a number of times. I've only watched the seasons once, so I can't wait till this season is over. I'm gonna marathon the hell out of all seasons and run that shit right up until the very last season of Game of Thrones, which is going to be next year. So that's going to be crazy. I can't wait. Well, anyway, give me your thoughts and opinions. What did you think about this episode of Game of Thrones? Did you think it was slow and dull, or were you just loving it like I was? I loved it. There was so much here that I think had a lot of good charisma. There was moments where I was annoyed with Khaleesi, though. I mean, the way she acted to Jon Snow, I don't know. I don't know if it's the writing or the actress. I think there was moments where the actress just had a dry performance, and I know that is her performance. That is how she is this character for such a long period of time. She does kind of have that dry. She's not trying to reveal anything as far as any type of emotions or weaknesses, or trying to stay a mystery to who she's talking to when she's presenting herself as a queen. You know what I'm saying? So that way it makes her harder to read. That's the way I see it. But sometimes I feel like it comes off just a little too dry, and it makes those scenes kind of feel like just this whiny kid just being like, oh, well, you know, you need to bend the knee and all this other crap like that. I don't know. Just a minor complaint, because I think the chemistry between those two is fantastic. Those two characters. For all we know, the actors hate each other's guts. Anyway, thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.